Good afternoon, I'm Michael Salter, and today I'm going to teach you how to create a multi-page website with the most advanced program in the industry, Adobe Dreamweaver. So whether you've never used the program or never even heard of it, by the time we're done, you'll be a pro at it. And if you're not a pro, that's okay, you'll still already have your own site provided you follow my steps. You ready? Let's get going. So when you open up Adobe Dreamweaver, this is the page that you're going to see. This menu shows you everything from past projects you can create in Dreamweaver, to videos of some of the top features of Dreamweaver. To get you started for your first time, we need to begin by making a template. A template is a page which you can apply formatting to the entire site. Templates are best used for different themes within a site. If used, they usually are not posted on the web. Now before we start working on a template, let me go over a couple things about basic website navigation which are going to play a part when it comes to selecting whether or not to use a template. There are 5 different navigation styles which are commonly used throughout the internet. The first and simplest style is a one-page structure. This is most commonly used for blogs. The next is a flat structure where there's lots of links on one page. This is common in shopping websites, especially the real small ones, when they only offer one kind of product, like shoes or glasses. The next kind I want to mention is index. An index page is where the home page that you arrive at has many links on that one. Craigslist would be a great example, because the primary page has nothing but links on it. The next kind I want to mention is a hub. There are different directions which you can go from that primary index page, like eBay for example. When you have a variety of options to choose from and the path is very specific, a hub can be useful, or you could go with a strict hierarchy. A strict hierarchy is commonly used in databases and database management systems. It depends on which kind of navigation as to how you set up your site. So keep that in mind as we go through. This website I'm going to set up as an index structure because this is the most commonly used navigation style for personal pages. Now let's get started on that template. To do this, click More, Blank Template, and HTML Template. Now we want to choose the 2-column fix with header and footer. That way we have room for navigation bars on the left hand side, a header and a footer, and our main body text in the very center of the page. I suggest that we start out using this template because it's the most common for web pages today. Here you'll see we have our heading, a spot for logos, and a navigation bar which we'll update later to web pages within the site. Alright, to start the process of personalization of your template, let's delete the excess little things that Dreamweaver gives you instructions for, but you don't need right now. Let's modify the footer, a little bit more personalized, maybe even something a little fun. Now before I get too ahead of myself, let's take a look at toolbars and document views. You need the Files and Properties toolbars. The Files toolbar shows you the file structure of your site. The Properties toolbar is used for formatting and linking. Dreamweaver also has different views. I prefer the split view, which is a combination of both the code and design views. This view is especially helpful when modifying the template. Changing the color is a good example. I do this by clicking the color I want to change on the web template and holding Alt. A cog will pop up, and if you click this, it'll bring up another menu. If you know what part of the page in the code you are selecting, you can click on that link, and then it'll take you to that section in the code. Say green's not my favorite color. I can right click and go down to Code Hints and Color Picker. You can pick whatever color you want. Light blue, woohoo. Now you need to go over here and hit refresh to see any changes you made. See how it's blue now? Now I'm not quite so keen on blue, so I'm going to revert back to that green, just for simplicity so we don't have to change anything else. This is your sidebar here, and it is right here. It's this easy. That was a right click, by the way. And never forget to refresh it in order to see your changes. Now, since this is a template, and this right here we want to turn into editable region. An editable region is one section of your template that is different when you apply the template to other pages later on. In order to do this, we're going to highlight it, right click, go down to Templates and click New Editable Region. It doesn't matter what we name it since we're not going to get fancy just yet. Now is a great time to save. Now I went ahead and got rid of all the text. Now that we have our template, it's time to create some other pages. We're going to click File and New, and that's going to bring back up that menu again. Except this time we're going to do a page from template. This way the editable region stays the same. If you don't do it this way, it can cause major problems and major headaches later on. Now this first page is going to be my home page, which the internet calls index. Any page called index, the web will automatically set that to your home page. So keep that in mind when you're titling your documents. And these pages always need to be in HTML, because this file format works in the most browsers. Anything you create, you want to create in its own separate folder. This makes it easier to keep pictures and other files separate later on when you start designing more elaborate websites. Now I already have a Word document with everything that I want typed on the side. I'm just going to copy and paste this into each page. Down here we're going to change this to a heading 1. Now as you can see, it applied that formatting to all of the text, so we're going to add an extra space there, and then it'll stop arguing with us. If you decide to do a paste special, it'll apply that formatting. However, you have to make sure it's consistent with what you want for your headings site-wide, otherwise this paste special defeats the purpose. Now these links don't work yet because we haven't created those pages. Remember, anytime there's a star up top, you need to save. Since you've already seen me do this process once, I'm going to go ahead and speed the clip up for the next 3 pages that I create. Now when you're creating the folders for each of your pages, remember to name each of those files in lowercase. In fact, all of your files and folders should be in lowercase and without spaces for the easiest and simplest web page creation. Now we're going to go back to our template page and link each of these pages in with it. Now this is really where the Properties toolbar comes in handy. All you have to do is click on the words within that navigation button, and then in the Properties toolbar, find the file by browsing. Once you click OK, the button's made. Before I get into showing you how to set up your site on a server, allow me first to explain what is involved to do this. Website addresses are unique. Securing one means you have to obtain a domain name. Having one is not enough though. The information has to be uploaded from a computer to a server where it is then broadcasted to the web. Obtaining a domain name is easy. Go to a domain registration site such as GoDaddy.com or aplus.net. A domain is usually around $10 a year. After securing your domain, you must find a server. Both GoDaddy and Aplus are willing to provide this service, but this is the expensive part. PHP web hosting is $130 a year, and I've been told that this is one of the least expensive ones. I have a friend who has ample server space, and he allows me to use his server. If you have this opportunity, be sure to take it, provided you trust that person. Based on how the servers work, your host, the person providing the server space, will have as much access to your site as you do. Now, if you have different server and domain name registration companies, 2 extra steps must be taken to make them interact with one another. First, log into the domain service and convert the name servers to the appropriate server name. Here are the PHP server names. Here are PHP's server names. If you have difficulty locating this information, the domain name registration company usually has directions to do this in their help section. Next, the domain name must be added to the server, otherwise the server does not know to look for this new domain. Now doing all this does not mean you have a site just yet. You must manage the site on Dreamweaver so the server is given information to post on the website. You can do this by clicking Site, Manage Sites, and then choose your site name and click Edit. The site name specifies what the title of the website is called once uploaded onto the server. The local site folder is the folder containing all of the site documents you have created on Dreamweaver for this website. Now to get Dreamweaver and the server interacting. Click Server and Edit. This dialog box is one of the Dreamweaver interfaces which interacts with the server. The server name is non-specific, however everything else here is. FTP is a type of server and it addresses the server's main page. To clarify, FTP takes place of the HTTP prefix in a URL in order to get to the server. The username and password are for access to the server. This allows Dreamweaver to do most of the work for you in transferring your site information to the server. The root directory is where your root site file is located on the server, and the web URL is the server URL and the root directory together. Now that Dreamweaver and the server are interacting, it is time to upload all of your site files so the domain name can become your website. This process is called putting or to put, depending on who you're talking to. First, save any pages with the asterisk beside their name before going any further. Now, in the Files toolbar at the bottom right, there's a square with a diagonal arrow. This brings up the Put page. The left partition is the server folders, which often does not appear at first. If it doesn't, click the Link button in the toolbar. Once the server is communicating with your computer, you will see the files and folders the server is broadcasting. If you do not have a file in the server, you may drag and drop your local root folder from the right partition. If you do already have a folder present, highlight all folders within your root folder, then drag and drop them into your corresponding server's folder. Once the server catches up, your website will be broadcasted onto the internet. However, don't be alarmed if this takes as much as 24 hours before the server begins to broadcast the materials. If you followed along, congratulations, you now have a website. I hope this video was helpful.